Imagine looking up at the night sky. You want to track the exact movement of a celestial body. Standard algebra is great for basic shapes, but what happens when it simply isn't enough to capture the complex reality of the physics happening right in front of you?
Take this real-life problem. How exactly do you map a moon orbiting a planet while that same planet is simultaneously hurtling around the sun? The distances and speeds are all changing constantly. If we try to map this with a standard x and y algebraic equation, we hit a massive wall. We can only evaluate one thing at a time.
And here is exactly why this matters. Standard equations are fundamentally incomplete when it comes to complex motion. Sure, they can draw the exact shape of a path on a piece of paper, but they are totally blind to two critical physical realities. They literally cannot tell us when an object is at a specific point, and they don't tell us what direction it's moving. They are completely missing the ultimate hidden variable, time.
By the end of this lecture, you're going to understand this missing variable, the exact formulas behind parametric equations, and how to actually apply them to real examples. Here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, the hidden variable of time. Second, what parametric equations are. Third, eliminating the parameter. Fourth, the trigonometric trick. Fifth, going in reverse. And finally, a summary.
Okay, let's dive right into our first concept, the hidden variable of time. Let's unlock the secret behind mapping this complex motion. When we look at traditional Cartesian equations, the classic y equals some function of x, we're really only seeing the physical track. Think of it like looking down at a roller coaster track from a helicopter. You see the static shape, but that's it. Parametric equations completely upgrade our toolkit. We introduce a third independent variable called the parameter, and we usually use t to stand for time. Now, instead of just seeing the track itself, we can pinpoint the coaster's exact position on that track at any given second, and we know the exact direction it's traveling.
So, moving on to part 2, what actually are parametric equations? Now that we understand the conceptual leap, let's see how this builds the actual mathematical formulas.
When we parameterize a curve, we're taking a single equation that just has two variables, and we're breaking it apart into an equivalent pair of equations across three variables. So the x-coordinate becomes its own dedicated function of time, which we write as x of t, and the y-coordinate becomes its own completely separate function of time, y of t. Working together, they generate an ordered pair that plots out the exact path, literally moment by moment.
Let's make this easier to grasp with a visual example. Check out this table. If we set xt equal to simply t and yt equal to 1 minus t squared, we can just start plugging in time values. Let's say t equals -3. That makes x -3 and y becomes -8. As time moves forward and t reaches 0, our y climbs all the way up to 1. And as t keeps increasing to +3, y drops right back down to -8. If you plot those generated x and y pairs, you get this downward-facing parabola. But here's the magic. We don't just have the shape. We know exactly how it was drawn over time, sweeping continuously from left to right.
Now, you might be asking, wait a second, what if the curve isn't a function at all? Remember the classic vertical line test from standard algebra? A circle fails it instantly because one x input gives you two different y outputs. Well, this is where parametric equations are honestly kind of like a math superpower. Because we split x and y into their own individual functions based on time, each of those individual parametric equations passes the vertical line test on its own. We're using two perfectly valid functions to seamlessly draw a shape that isn't a function?
Now let's connect this to real life with another example. Imagine an object moving at a steady, constant rate from the coordinates -5, 3 to the point 3, -1. And let's say this trip takes exactly 4 seconds. Let's build those equations. First, just look at x. It goes from -5 to +3. That's a distance of 8 meters covered in 4 seconds, meaning our horizontal speed is 2 meters per second. So our x of t formula is simply 2t minus 5. Now for y. It drops from 3 to -1. That's a change of -4 meters in 4 seconds, so its vertical velocity is -1 meter per second. Bam! Our y of t formula is -t plus 3. See? We've just perfectly mapped real-world physical motion into a clean algebraic system.
All right, part 3, eliminating the parameter. Now that we thoroughly understand how to expand out into parametric equations, let's learn how to do the exact opposite. How do we squish them back down into standard Cartesian equations when we just want to look at the static path? Wait, this is incredibly important, so definitely lock this in. If you want to successfully eliminate the parameter, here is your golden rule. Always look at your pair of equations. Find the one that is easiest to manipulate algebraically and solve it to isolate t. Once you have t all by itself, it's just a matter of simple substitution.
Let's walk through this step by step. Say you're given x equals t squared plus 1 and y equals 2 plus t. Step 1. Which one is easier to isolate? Definitely the linear y equation, right? By just subtracting 2, we find that t equals y minus 2. Step 2. Take that expression and substitute it right back into your x equation. So now x equals the quantity y minus 2 squared plus 1. Step 3. Just expand and simplify. You'll end up with x equals y squared minus 4y plus 5. Boom! We've completely eliminated time and we're left with a standard Cartesian equation for a sideways sweeping parabola.
Moving to part 4, the trigonometric trick. So the algebra we just did with polynomials is pretty straightforward. But what happens when our parametric equations throw sine and cosine into the mix?
When you see trig functions, standard algebraic substitution gets super messy really fast. Instead, we pull out an absolute classic from our math toolkit, the Pythagorean identity. Cosine squared of t plus sine squared of t equals 1. This one identity is a lifesaver because it lets us completely bypass trying to isolate t on its own.
Let's look at an example to see this in action. Say x equals 4 times the cosine of t and y equals 3 times the sine of t. Instead of trying to isolate t, we're going to isolate the trig functions themselves. We divide x by 4 to get cosine t. We divide y by 3 to get sine t. Now take those two fractions and plug them directly into our Pythagorean identity. The result? The quantity x over 4 squared plus the quantity y over 3 squared equals 1. And look at that. We instantly get the standard equation for an ellipse centered right at the origin.
But let's do a quick retention check here. You might be wondering, why didn't we just start with that ellipse equation and save the trouble? Because by keeping it in parametric form, we know the object's orientation. If we plug in t equals 0 to our original equations, we see the object starts at the coordinate 4, 0. If we plug in t equals pi over 2, we move to coordinate 0, 3. The parametric equations explicitly tell us that this object is traveling counterclockwise. A standard equation completely erases that physical reality.
Okay, part 5. Going in reverse. Let's make this even more practical. We're going to flip the script and figure out how to build these parametric equations from scratch when all you're given is a standard rectangular equation.
What's really fascinating here is that there are literally infinite valid ways to parameterize a single curve. Let's start with the equation y equals the quantity x plus 3 squared plus 1. The easiest, most obvious way to do this is to just say, hey, let's let x equal t. If we do that, y simply becomes the quantity t plus 3 squared plus 1. It works perfectly. But we could also get creative and say, let's let x equal t plus 3. If we substitute that into our original equation, y now becomes the quantity t plus 6 squared plus 1. Both of these sets of parametric equations are mathematically perfect. They map the exact same physical curve, they're just running on entirely different internal clocks. All right, part 6. We've covered a lot of ground today. Let's move into our final summary and next steps before we wrap up. Here are the absolute key takeaways you need to lock in. First, standard Cartesian equations only show you a static path. Parametric equations bring in a third variable, t, to show exactly when an object is at a location and the specific direction it's traveling. Second, we make this happen by turning both the x-coordinate and the y-coordinate into their own dependent functions of time. And third, if you ever need to collapse them back down into a static path, you just eliminate t using either algebraic substitution or the Pythagorean trigonometric identity. But this whole concept leaves us with a pretty fascinating final thought. If parametric equations do such a flawless job of mapping 2D motion with the hidden variable of time, what happens when our moon isn't just moving left, right, up, and down, but is also moving directly toward us? What happens to the math when we introduce a third spatial dimension using vectors? Well, that is exactly the puzzle we're going to conquer in our next experiment.